Hey guys, welcome to the Elephant Room. I'm John,
I'm Taylor.
and we're here on Sunday afternoon at Circle Park after the UGA Alabama game, after we beat Georgia, and we're here for our post-game show.
Yeah, we had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, we clinched the win, I'd say.
We did.
That's
We
what's
did.
important.
A lot of people, I think, counted us out in this game. We managed to go into Sanford Stadium and take care of business. I was really happy with what I saw last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely better than I thought we'd do. Ty did a good job.
Yeah.
A lot of the other players did. I mean, Jam did okay. Bernard did good.
Yeah.
Good. Proctor. Well, we'll talk about Proctor a little bit. That was a fun time.
Yeah, that was a fun play there. Had a good night, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, overall, though, I'd say that I'm relatively impressed with what we did, compared to what we could have done,
Yeah, I was happy with how we came out of the gate. We came out, got a good stop on defense and drove down the field coming right out of the gate and then did it again.
Mm-hmm.
We came out and got another stop and managed to go and score some more points, get out to a really early big lead that ended up making the difference for us in the game.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy with what I saw from the defense and the offense. I would say more so the offense, but we had a couple of things there that were a little bit questionable. We had Ryan Williams drop that one pass, that you just can't drop. He's leading the SEC right now in drop passes so far, so
Yeah.
something we got to get figured
12,
out.
13, something like
He's
that.
in a little bit of a sophomore slump, but overall, I was really happy with the effort again tonight. We've had that going the last 3 weeks. I've been really happy to see that we look like we actually want to play football again, which we really haven't seen. We didn't see it in the Florida State game, and we didn't see it a whole lot last year. We saw it at times, the LSU game, the Georgia game, but I'm happy that we put three weeks in a row together where we've really looked like we wanted to play football. And we wanted to come out there and take care of business, and we looked like we could come out there and take care of business.
Yeah.
Our game plan was better than Georgia's. That was huge in this game. Our game plan, offensively especially, was better than Georgia's game plan defensively. Our coaches, at least at the start of this game, outcoached Georgia.
Yeah, I'd agree.
We have the coaches who can outcoach anybody in the country.
Well,
We just need the effort from the players, and we got that last night.
Well, I'd say that I agree that we have coaches that can outcoach, but that being said, they don't necessarily always outcoach. And
Yeah.
there are certain parts of the coaching staff, which we'll get into a little bit, where, we've seen the problems in the first 3 games, and they're not necessarily as glaring all the time in the games, but they're still present and they're still noticeable.
Yeah.
And that is a problem. I mean, we're not adapting like we need to all the time, especially
Right.
on defense with Womack. And, it's not all bad, though. I mean, we did good, like Taylor said, in the first half, especially the first quarter, I think. I mean, we had some really good plays. We had a stop. I mean, we had multiple stops throughout the game, not even just in the first half. Our first half, it was definitely more noticeable and more finite, like just, boom, we stopped them right on the first drive pretty quickly. We had a lot of time of possession. It was kind of a grind, to get down the field, but we got down the field consistently. And we scored, multiple times, so that's good. And then, Talty missed a kick.
Yeah,
and
we did miss that kick pretty bad.
He was, kicking left. I mean, even with his, 1 point or his extra points, and then the one field goal we did get, he's kicking up and to the left, and then that was just super to the left.
It was not great.
Yeah.
I mean, we came out offensively. I do want to talk about this. We came out offensively and we stuck with the run. It wasn't working for us. We weren't running the ball very well, but we stuck with it and made it a part of our offense. And we incorporate a lot of plays that are basically runs. They're not runs, but they're basically runs where we're doing these nice little short passes, just enough to kind of get it back to the line of scrimmage and going from there. That's basically our run game. That's what works the best for us as far as short plays like that. But I'm glad that we had over 30 rushing attempts in this game, even though it wasn't working for us. So we stuck with it, and that adds a dimension to our offense that we didn't have last year. We didn't really have in the Florida State game, even though we should have, because the run was working for us in that game. I'm glad to see that we finally have an offensive coordinator who will stick with the run even when it's not working very well, even when we're only getting 2 or 3 yards a carry. We're sticking with it, and that's opening up passing lanes for us that we exploited pretty well last night. Defensively, there were some miscues. I would say a lot of the miscues were due to coaching, honestly. The effort was there from the players. They were running around the field, swarming to the ball like they have been the past 3 weeks. We had some big-time miscues from coaching. Kane Womack, he was running plays that were not really setting the edge for us, and so Georgia was running the ball outside all night. They got multiple huge runs because we were not setting the edge, and part of that is our defensive line is kind of a weakness for our defense, and part of that is, play calling. Like I remember one play where we had nobody out there. It was a quarterback run, and there was nobody out there to even try to set the edge. And so, just gashing us with those plays. We had the one touchdown that they scored on the deep pass that was entirely made possible by the fact that we blitzed our safeties, and we didn't need to. So we've got to fix our defensive play calling, and that may just be a matter of getting rid of Womack, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not in the middle of the season or anything, but getting rid of him at the end of this year. I just don't think he has the play calling chops that he needs to make it at this level.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that, honestly, from what I saw from the defense, there's a lot of repetition of plays that we've played that weren't working throughout the game. And then later in the game, it gave them way too many yards, way too many first downs, way too many. It looked so repetitive and predictable, and they used it, and it worked, and it kept working. Georgia kept being able to run through those things, and we just can't have it. The repetition, the patterns are all the same. I don't know, I'm kind of being unclear here, but what I just mean basically that his play calling was so stubborn.
Right.
It was just stubborn. There was no really good adaptation. There was no adjustments that I saw, play to play. They just kept running at the same places over and over.
Yeah, one thing I would say, though, is one thing I've noticed this year about Womack's defense is that you really almost don't need play calls to make the difference for you with his defense. With our offense, we were running schemes that were just poking holes in Georgia's defense. We were getting receivers open. We were just exploiting the weaknesses in their defense, and we did that a lot. We did that with motions. We got them confused and things like that. One thing I've noticed this year with Womack's defense is we don't really necessarily have a lot of holes in the defense other than, when we're not setting the edge. But that's a matter of a lot of times player effort. The thing about Womack's defense is that it's almost like player effort matters more than the actual play calls. And that can be a really good thing to have on defense if, you don't have a defensive coordinator who's really got the play calling chops, to have a defense where it mainly relies on, are the players giving the effort to make the plays that they need to make? And for the most part, we had that last night, and we've had that the past 3 weeks, and we've looked really, really good on defense because of that. Again, we did have some miscues that were specifically due to play calling, like blitzing both of the safeties and leaving our DB on his own out there one-on-one, and he just got beat bad because he had nobody back there to help him. Things like that, if you are going to run a defense like that where it's mainly down to player effort, you can't be running plays like that where you're leaving somebody out to dry. You got to be smart. You do need to be aggressive. You need to be trying to get pressure on the quarterback, but you have to be smart about it. Yeah. You can't be blitzing both of your safeties, when it comes down to player effort, because if you leave somebody out to dry, you're going to create a hole in your defense. And now it's not down to player effort anymore. It's down to there's a hole in your defense that you created, and they were just able to exploit it. So I like the aggressiveness that we've shown on defense, but we gotta dial it back and not be stupid with
not be careless.
The aggressiveness.
Yeah. Coaching wise though, overall, like, you know, just being able to see differences throughout the season. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Womack's stubbornness, so he's not necessarily changing very much, at least from my point of view. Ryan Grubb, I think, is doing a good job as OC, especially from FSU to now, incorporating the run like we're talking about, even though it's not necessarily as successful as we want it to be. The fact that he's still trying it and keeping, you know, defenses like Georgia on their toes, because we can make the passes, we can make the big plays happen, but we can also do a run, which is occasionally a good thing, you know, a really good thing. I'd say head coach wise, DeBoer wise, he's showing more actual emotion. He's reacting more, you know, and I think he's doing better, you know. And I think we kind of need to not necessarily apologize, you know, not us necessarily. I just mean in general as a fan base. I'm not saying we need to apologize to him, but after FSU, we're like, fire him, get rid of him, what's his buyout? Everybody was like that, you know. Yeah. And now we're looking at it and it's like, well, he's beat Georgia twice at Alabama already, and Georgia's not a nobody team. I mean, top 5 this year, but they're always a contender, or at least they have been since Kirby's been. So, I mean, you've got to, and some people are like, oh, Kirby's slipping, and I'm like, every coach this year, or every coach has their years that they're slipping. I mean, Dabo's a whole concerning thing right now with him slipping, but I don't think it's him that's slipping. I think it's more his stubbornness on the idea of the NIL, right? That's why he's not doing as good. I don't think his coaching is necessarily bad. Sark, everybody's saying Sark's slipping this year because of how he performed against Ryan Day in Ohio State and some of the other things. But I don't think that's coaches slipping. But I do think that DeBoer had a mess up, you know, had a mistake with FSU, partly due to Womack as well. Like, there's just not the communication we need, not the calls that we need, and there was adjustments needed to be made. And I think he's trying to make those happen in the staff and on the field, and that's good to see. But I do think that the fan base needs to give him a better chance and an actual, like, hey, you're here to stay, you're doing all right. Because again, I didn't expect him to be national championship in the first year, maybe not even the first 2 years. You know, so he was 9-4 last year, which isn't great compared to Saban, but 9-4 in his first time here. Right now, I mean, 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's done a good job. He has the ability to be a really good coach. You know, the key is just, you know, like we were saying back after that Florida State game, is he's got to be able to motivate the players. He's got to be able to motivate the players to go out and give the effort that they've been given the last 3 weeks. But he's got to be able to do it every week throughout the season. All right, if he can do that, he will be a really, really good coach at the level of the Kirby Smarts of the college football world, because he has the game. He's able to build game plans that can just destroy people. We saw it last night. You know, we were dominating the first 2 quarters of that game for the most part, with a couple of miscues that I talked about there, you know, on the defensive end. But, you know, offensively, we were dominating. You know, we were moving the ball down the field without much trouble. You know, we were taking 14-play drives. Our first 2 drives were 14 plays each. You know, we were putting together long drives because we were calling plays that were exploiting weaknesses in their defense and setting up other plays. And, you know, so our game plan worked beautifully, you know, and so it really is just a matter of player effort as far as what Kalen needs to work on. And it looks like he's putting in the work this year to make that happen. I've been really happy with Kalen so far this year. Our main problem, in my opinion, is just Womack. He's the weak point right now. It's just a matter of, you know, we either need to find somebody else or he needs to get better at play calling. That's really the thing at this point. The player effort is there, and he may play a role in that. And honestly, I'm not sure that if he is playing a role in that on the defensive side, I'm not sure that I would want to get rid of him and sacrifice the player effort as opposed to his play calling, because there's going to be miscues for anybody. The key is if the players are playing with effort, by and large, we're going to have good games on defense and on offense. It's been there the last 3 weeks. It needs to continue to stay there, especially going into a game like Vanderbilt after a game like this.
And that's the thing, though, like with FSU specifically, it's the opening, of the game. Or I'm sorry, it's the opening game of the season. And that's when you finally are testing this team, and it just fell apart. There was no player effort, or there was, but not what we needed, especially on defense. I mean, we talked about Bray Hubbard that game. It was terrible, but then he's been a beast ever since. And the thing is, some people, we were talking about this today with the AP poll, talking about how, I'm sorry, there was a biker that passed. Talking about how Florida State jumped us so extremely when they beat us, right? Because we were number 8, right? And they were unranked, and they got into like the top 12 after they beat us. But then they just lost to Virginia, and Virginia's ranked under them by I think 6 spots, 24.
Dude, the AP polls have been crazy this year.
Yeah,
I've never seen them be this bad, honestly. It's just crazy.
Well, it's just one of those things where I think people are overestimating some teams.
Yeah.
And so when they falter a little bit, and then they overestimate these small teams that are kind of affecting the bigger teams the way they are. That's just in my opinion. And what I'm saying by that is we haven't played somebody that is genuinely a tougher team until this game. I mean, Wisconsin was not in any form a tough team, right? ULM doesn't count as a tough team. FSU, now we look back in retrospect and say, okay, tougher team than we thought they were going to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a tough team either. So I'm saying that against Georgia, we're seeing things with like Womack's defense, the play calling. We're seeing similarities to the easier games, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that as we play tougher teams, we can't adapt as we go forward. We can't do better and see how we adapt and adjust with other tougher teams. Vanderbilt is an example next week. I mean, they are scary to me personally, because they're kind of not underrated necessarily, but we underestimated them last year.
We did.
And I think people are underestimating them this year, even with all of their scores and everything they've been getting this season so far. I'm to be honest, it's weird. I kind of feel like I'm more scared of them than I am of like Tennessee this year. I mean, I'm still scared, relatively of Tennessee, but Tennessee has not been as consistent as Vanderbilt has this year.
Well, even like Georgia, like offensively, Vanderbilt is probably a better football team than Georgia is on the offensive side of the ball. Now, defensively, they're pretty bad, but offensively, they're going to be hard to stop. All right, we're probably going to give up a lot of points next week, and so we have to go in with the same mentality that we had in these past 3 weeks, and that's going to be really hard to do after a win like this, a hard-fought win like we had last night. It's going to be really hard to get the players up. This is where the real test is, as far as Kalen DeBoer. It's one thing to come back from a loss, and we did that. That's great. It's another thing to come back from a win like this and then go in against a team that you would typically expect to be not that great and then get the guys back up and motivated just like they were going into the Georgia game and get them motivated like that for Vanderbilt. That is going to be the real test, is can we do that, right? Because, again, it's one thing to come out that way after a loss. It's another thing to come out that way after a win. And that is how you get a championship-level team, is if you can come out that way after a win.
And last season, I mean, we kind of suffered the LSU game to the Oklahoma game, right? Yeah. Oklahoma was right after LSU. We blew them out like crazy. Then we go to Oklahoma and we suck. Like, we just absolutely get destroyed by, at that time, a nobody team. And Oklahoma's number 7 or 8 now in the AP poll.
They're going to be tough to beat.
I mean, and that's the same with Vanderbilt, though. Both of these teams were unranked last year. They beat us last year. And then now they're both in the top 15, 16, right?
I don't know about Vanderbilt, but OU is,
I think Vanderbilt's 16 now.
Okay.
The new AP poll, I think they're 16 now. And the thing about that is, I'm just saying that again, it goes back to the whole, like, you know, like FSU was, what, 0-12?
Yeah.
Last year,
or
and then
2-10.
Or I'm sorry, 2-10 last year, and then now, you know, even though they lost to Virginia, still, it's still one of those things where we're making too big of a deal out of some of these wins, and we're underestimating the NIL. We're underestimating how even teams are now comparatively. It's not just one dominant sect, right, of teams like Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. Like, they're not dominant like they were. You know.
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, I was talking with my dad about this last night. Like, after today, we don't need to be talking about Georgia anymore. Georgia is in the past now. This week, as a fan base, Alabama needs to be talking about Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And after that, we need to be talking about the next team and the next team and the next team, right? We can't be dwelling on, hey, we beat this really good Georgia team, you know? That's done with, all right? Vanderbilt is a good team. They're the next team on the schedule. We got to be focused on them. That's the way that you're going to get the guys motivated, all right? If you're sitting here on Thursday and you're still talking about how we beat Georgia, we could be in trouble because, you know, if we're not giving every single team the same level of attention that we gave Georgia, then we're not going to be prepared for these games. And this is how you lose these trap games, is by not putting the focus where it needs to be that week, that day.
And like, yeah, the AP poll, the number doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter anymore compared to what it might have been back in the day, because Georgia's number 5, they were a tough team. Okay, Vanderbilt's, I think, number 16. The number might seem, because we're number 10 now, number might be like, oh, we should blow them out. I don't think we're going to blow them out. I don't think we're going to get close to blowing them out. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Whoever wins, you know, it's not going to be easy for either team. And I think most of our teams are going to be that. Every team that we play for the rest of the season is ranked except for one, Eastern Illinois, I think. Except maybe Auburn, actually. Auburn at the end.
Yeah, Auburn, yeah, they may not, they're not ranked anymore if they weren't.
Yeah.
They probably won't be. I think they'll probably lose a couple more games before they get to us. I don't think they're that great. I think they're okay, but they're not that good.
But still, that's a long stretch of just
It's a long
hard
stretch, and you've got
games.
them in Jordan Hare. It's always difficult to beat them there, no matter what kind of team they have and what kind of team we have. You know,
Yeah.
especially if we keep winning, you know, and we potentially are in the running for an SEC championship. It's going to be real hard. You know, we've done it in past years, even with Saban, where we were looking ahead to the SEC championship game. You know, we could still see Georgia again in the SEC championship if we make it that far. You know, so
But we should focus on making
we got to
it
focus on the team that is next on the
Yeah.
schedule, all right? And, you know, if we see the coaches not doing that, then
We're in trouble.
we're still going to have some difficulties this season, you know? If we see the team doing that and they come out and play on Saturday the way they've been playing the last 3 weeks, every single week, then we're going to be a really good football team. You know, we could go 11-1, 10-2 easy doing that, you know, but it's going to take us being focused on the game ahead of us every week for the rest of the season. You know, Vanderbilt, as far as the Vanderbilt game, you know, I could really see it going either way. I could see a route where we could blow them out if our defense comes and plays like they have been the past 3 weeks and our offense plays the way that they've been playing. I think our offense is probably better than maybe their offense. I don't feel like they've played very much of anybody. I think our offense is definitely going to be better than their defense compared to their offense compared to our defense. Yeah. I think our defense is going to be, you know, same thing the other way around. So, you know, I think that we're a better football team than Vanderbilt still. It's going to come down to, you know, playing the way that we've been playing the last 3 weeks and being able to get ourselves out of this kind of victory, post-victory sort of cloud here. That's really what it's going to come down to. I could see, like I said, an avenue where we do blow them out, but I could also see a situation where we're not quite given the effort that we need and it's a close game or even they start to pull away. So, you know, we've just got to be giving the effort that we've been giving the last 3 weeks. I think if we do that, we'll be okay. If not, then we're going to be in trouble, just like we were last year.
Yeah. I'd say we're going to segue a little bit into some players maybe. I mean, you know, it's pretty consistent, honestly. Like, Ty's consistent with being impressive. I mean, there's some people claiming he's a Heisman contender already.
I think he is.
And I think he is.
I think he is. He's got some of the best pocket awareness I've ever seen. You know, he's not been, except maybe the Florida State game, I don't remember, but I don't think I've seen him get blindsided by anybody in at least the last 3 games.
Yeah.
He has stepped up in the pocket. He knows when they're behind him on his blind side. He can see them and step up. He just has an incredible pocket awareness that really helps him. And he's able to stay composed under the pressure, at least most of the time. You know, there were some times, that was one of the things that I was nitpicking from last night's game was in that second half, there were a lot of instances where he did get under pressure and he kind of just threw the ball up for somebody to hopefully catch. And those balls could have been picked. All right,
yeah, that's true.
We were a little bit lucky that they weren't picked. Several of them, he did manage to get them out of bounds enough that they weren't really gonna get picked. But you can't be throwing balls up like that. You can't be throwing prayers up like that in the SEC. You know,
Yeah.
and that's a little bit left over from his high school days, I think. Because he could do that. If you watch his high school film, his speciality was, you know, turning his back to the line of scrimmage, running straight back and wheeling around and making a play that way. I think he's still got a little bit of that tendency in him. And you're just not going to be able to do that very consistently at this level. And so it leads to some not great decisions on his part in that regard. But, you know, when he keeps his eyes downfield instead of turning around like that and following that tendency, he's fantastic. And he's been fantastic all season.
I will say part of that though also, especially later in the half or the second half, I mean the pressure he's feeling though. I mean we're in Sanford Stadium. I mean and you're only up by 3.
Well, not even that. I'm talking about like the blitz is getting to him. The defensive linemen are getting to him.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm adding to the pressure, or I'm saying that. I mean, at least what I saw, he scrambled a bit more. He was a little more skittery than he was for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
At the end when we're down, I mean we're up by 3, and that's because he knows. I think that against Georgia. I mean we've only lost once out of the last
10 times. Yeah.
But that being said, it's always by like 3 points. Or there's an occasional 7, right? Or it's like blown out.
Yeah.
You know, but like it's dangerous when you're on the away like that, especially at that stage. You know, at that.
It is, yeah.
Away game, that's atmosphere.
And part of it, you know, was Kirby made adjustments like he always does. You know, he really, I mean, you know, we never really adjusted to that on offense. Honestly, they were getting more pressure on us than they did in the first half. In that second half, we weren't blocking as well, and I think part of that was just kind of the blitz packages that they started using in the second half were better against us, which is to be expected from Kirby. It was the same story last year where we came in with a better game plan, and then they made better adjustments than we did. I think that's typically what you can expect from Kirby. So, you know, Ty was under pressure more in there. He's just got to be able to make better decisions in those situations when it's not 1 or 2 guys getting back there to him, it's 3 or 4 guys getting back there to him. He's just got to be able to, you know, not put himself in these situations where he's potentially opening us up to throwing picks when we don't need to be throwing picks.
Which it is still, in my opinion, still impressive. I mean, he hasn't thrown an interception yet at all.
Yeah,
I mean, and
he's been doing really well.
Yeah, compared to like Milroe, for
he's
instance.
had some close calls.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, and I'm not trying to hate on Jalen Milroe at all, but I mean, you can definitely see a stark contrast between the two, especially in their throws or in their passes. Moving on though, I mean, we can talk about Caden Proctor. There's not much to say besides the fact that, I mean, tried to make a Biggie touchdown.
Yeah,
you know,
it was fun play there.
Yeah, I mean, roll Tide, baby, literally roll. He was the Tide.
I mean, like, don't be pulling that play out every game or anything like that. But you know, as a little bit of a trick to kind of catch Georgia off guard there, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun play to watch.
It was entertaining. You know.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't necessarily want offensive linemen to be carrying the ball around a lot for us, but it was a fun play to watch Caden Proctor get to do that. He had a good time with it. You could see him on the sideline, so that was a fun little moment from the game there. Go ahead.
I mean, other than that, everybody else was pretty much consistent. I mean, we talked a little bit about Ryan Williams, and he drops the ball a little more often than we'd like, but
he also made some good plays though.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, he had that one play very late in the game where, he got drilled. He caught the ball past the first down marker, and he got drilled, and he was able to hang on to it. If he doesn't hold on to that pass, we probably lose that game.
Yeah.
So he made some big plays. Obviously, he had the one drop there that really kind of hurt us. Well, it would have hurt us if we hadn't scored on that drive. It ended up working out for us because we managed to waste a bunch more time off the clock, and we still ended up getting the touchdown. So no harm, no foul there, but he's got to get these drops figured out because we need him to be at the level of the hype that he's got, because we'll be a powerhouse we'll continue to be a powerhouse, I should say, if he's playing at the level that he can play at.
I'd agree.
One thing I will say about the defense as a whole, they're giving good effort and all that. I'm really liking the effort that I'm seeing out of them. However, sometimes it looks like 10 of the players on the defense exist entirely to hold on to the ball carrier until Bray Hubbard gets there to make the tackle.
Yeah.
We got to get that figured out. We got to be able to tackle people. Bray Hubbard is really the only guy on the team right now that can actually tackle people.
That's pretty much all to say.
That's pretty much it. Look,
we get to the guy, we get to the ball holder.
They're at the ball. That's fantastic, but we got to finish the play.
Got to get him down.
There's a lot of plays last night, even on their long runs where we didn't do a great job sealing the edge, but we were still there to stop them after 5 or 6 yards, and we missed a tackle or two, and he ends up getting 20 to 30 yards instead of 5 or 6 yards, and that's just something we got to get figured out. I don't know what we got to do to figure that out. But
I think that should be a focus
It's got to be a focus
for the
because
defense.
we need more guys out there who will tackle like Bray Hubbard is tackling, because he's done a fantastic job. He forced that fumble last night deep in our own territory.
Very good fumble. No, we didn't get that. We got
a field goal, but
we won by that field goal. So
we did, but we gotta get to the point where there's more than just Bray Hubbard that can make a tackle. And now, one tackle that was hugely important that I'll highlight is LT Overton's tackle on the 4th down conversion there. Just it wasn't pretty. There was a pretty good chance that he could have broken out of that tackle and gotten a first down and maybe even a touchdown there, but he made the play. He made the play when he needed to make the play, and that's all you can really ask for. He had to overcome a couple of blockers, I think, on that play to make that play. So just great effort from him on that play. Great job making that tackle when we needed it desperately. A great job from the defense effort-wise. Like I've said, the effort is there. We just got to be able to tackle.
Yeah.
That's really the main thing. And we had 2, 4th down conversion stops. Obviously, one got overturned by a defensive holding, but the fact that we were getting down there to the goal line, and then we were standing up, or near the goal line, and we were standing up and making the stops, getting 4 stops, 3 stops, whatever, just that's something we really haven't seen from the Bama defense in a few years, to be able to be steadfast down there near the goal line and not let them run right through us to the end zone. So I was really happy to see that from us last night, that we were able to stand up and prevent those scores inside the 10-yard line.
Yep. Well, guys, I think that's pretty much, as much as we've got on Alabama. But we've got some around the SEC, around college football. Stuff. There's definitely some interesting games.
Penn State loses the whiteout to Oregon in overtime. That's a tough loss for them.
Yeah.
A typical loss, I would say, for them. They tend to lose big games like that, and last night was no different. I didn't get to see any of that game because it was going on during the Bama game, and I was focused on that. But,
Well, Oregon dominated in the first half. They got up 17-3.
Okay.
And Penn State came back in the third quarter. 17-17 till the end. I mean,
Okay.
they both really did fight for it.
Well,
It just
I
came
mean,
down to the last little bit.
You know,
in the
it-
second overtime.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
it's good that they were able to come back. I don't mind Penn State. I don't particularly like Oregon. I think
No.
they're typically overrated by a significant margin.
They don't have anybody to play,
I like
really.
Penn State. I like the traditional teams. I like Notre Dame. I like Penn State. The teams that have a lot of tradition behind them.
Yeah. Speaking of Notre Dame,
It's unfortunate that they couldn't pull that out, in my opinion, at home. But if they were able to come back and kind of battle for it, I didn't know they got down. So
that's why they're number 8 now.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean-
or somewhere around there.
yeah,
Because
So
they did come back.
yeah, okay.
But Notre
We
Dame
had,
and
Notre Dame and Arkansas. Sam Pittman is
God bless
officially now fired from Arkansas because of that game. They gave up 42 points in the first half. They
Cool.
gave up 21 points in the last 6 minutes of the second quarter.
that's ridiculous.
You just it's been a long time. I hate to say it, I do like Sam Pittman,
Yeah,
but
same.
it's been a long time coming for him to get fired.
I know.
He's probably needed to be out of there for a while, and they've been holding on to it. But he's gone now. It'll be interesting to see who Arkansas goes and gets.
Yeah.
And really just a good performance from Notre Dame. Their running back is insane. Jeremiah Love he had a game. Their quarterback played well. It was a really good game for them. They kind of slowed it down in the second half there, but just a really good game for them on offense. They wasn't really anything that Arkansas could do to stop them. So they're obviously 2-2 now, but they're still going to be a good contender. They still have a chance to be there at the end to battle for a playoff spot. So
Yeah.
team to look out for there.
Yeah. Tennessee, Mississippi State.
Yeah,
Battle
Mississippi
to
State.
the end, man.
Heck of a job by Mississippi State to hang in there with old Bobby Hill over there at Tennessee. I was impressed. That was not something that I expected
I'm
at
pleasantly
all.
surprised, yeah.
I was, yeah. I'm glad to see Mississippi State having some success again.
Finally, yeah, really. Since Mike Leach died,
yeah.
they've kind of just been obsolete, and I'm happy that they're not obsolete necessarily this season.
Yeah,
I'm glad they're coming back. I'm interested, especially because they're a permanent rival now. Whether you
They
agree
are.
with that or not,
They are.
whether you find that controversial or not. I like Mississippi State. I've always liked Mississippi State more than Ole Miss for me personally, just because I've got some personal ties
Yeah.
there. I like.
Me too.
We have a lot of
Me too.
friends that go there or have gone there. They're a good school, good down to earth school. And
Yeah,
traditional team.
Yeah.
They've got culture.
Look,
Highway 82.
Yeah,
you
Battle of Highway 82, they're our longest standing rival, and we played them longer than we played anybody else, including even Auburn
Yeah.
and teams like that. So, there's a lot of history there. I wouldn't necessarily call them a huge rival. I
Yeah,
would say, Georgia is a bigger rival than they are, but there's a little bit of recency bias to that, I
Yes,
guess.
yeah.
But, it's good to see them having some success again, but of course it had to come right before we're going to have to play them every single year again.
Yep.
So naturally there. But yeah, it was nice to see them compete with the Tennessee Volunteers. I was hoping that they would manage to pull out the win there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right at the end, it got away from them. But, they're on the right track with Jeff Lebby, and I'm happy to see it from them.
Yeah, me personally, if we're gonna get personal about which team we hate the most, for me personally, Tennessee is definitely up there.
They're
Most
up there.
people, obviously Alabama, Auburn, everybody should hate Auburn. That being said, for me, man, I just can't stand the Vols,
yeah.
man. I just can't. I've met Auburn fans that I can deal with, and sometimes when we get to the SEC championship or we get to the Natty, some Auburn fans would come to me and be like, I hate saying it, but roll Tide, but no Volunteer has ever treated me with very much respect.
Oh, yeah.
So I just have a special place in my heart for them to suck a egg.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's LSU. I'm sad to see that rivalry go.
Yeah.
We'll still have it, every other year or so. But I am sad to see them go as a permanent opponent. I used to live in Baton Rouge, so that rivalry there is kind of
Close to your heart,
close to my heart a little bit. not necessarily a fun experience to live around a bunch of LSU fans during football season as a Bama fan.
I couldn't even stand them at the home game.
They hate us more than any other team, which is pretty funny because they shouldn't. We haven't had a real rivalry for that long, but they hate us more than they hate any other team.
Yeah, we took their coach.
Yeah, but I'm sad to see that one go. But I think it'll be interesting to see, Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. Our schedules are still going to be brutal, even without LSU, these next several years. So that'll be interesting.
A lot of away games. I mean, I know it's four home games and 5, and then they alternate.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be good. I mean, their goal, the SEC's goal with all of this was to make sure that every team gets in to play every team in the SEC, both at their home stadium and at the other team's home stadium over the next 4 years. Yeah. So that'll be an interesting thing to kind of get to all these different teams that we wouldn't normally play in years past. Used to, we would go 10 years without ever playing Georgia unless it was in an SEC championship game.
Until Kirby really came in, I mean, I never even really thought about Georgia very much at all.
It would be like 10 or 15 years before we would ever go. We would go 10 or 15 years Sanford, right? Going to Sanford, them coming to Bryant-Denny. We went in 2008, I think, and then we went again in 2015. I don't think they came here until like 2020. So it'll be good to kind of get a good rotation going as far as every team playing each other. Now, I'm hoping that they won't make it to where it's just going to be the same schedule every single year. As far as we're just alternating these same teams. Obviously, it won't be because they have to get you to all 14 of them. But it's going to be interesting. Adding that extra conference game is going to be interesting. Adding a Power 5 or I guess Power 4 opponent every year, at least one on the schedule. We're going to have some real tough schedules. I don't think that there's going to be any more going undefeated in a season, Which, at least not in the SEC.
Which, actually might be, a hidden good thing. Because the SEC has been dominant as a conference for so long, and it's one of those things where the NIL, I mean, love it or hate it, I mean, it's hard to compete with. We do not have the funding comparatively to the Big Ten or some of the other SEC teams too, and it's like, where do we get our iconic teams from now if we can't buy them? And it's one of those things where we just have to have a tough conference. We have to build tough players through the ringer, through a gauntlet, And I think that is a way to make possibly future obsolete players into good players without having the huge buy-in.
Yeah. But at the same time, it could be a detriment to the SEC because, you look at Mississippi State, they're on the rise. You look at Vanderbilt, they're on the rise. These have been the bottom feeders of our conference for at least the last 5 to 10 years, and now they're on the rise. And I saw a post earlier this week that was showing, I can't remember which Big Ten team it is, but they play UCLA and Purdue and Wisconsin back to back to back, and it was it baffles me that you can have this stretch of games on your schedule and be considered a serious conference.
True. Yeah.
So,
Same thing with Oregon, Oregon's situation.
The bottom side of our conference is stronger than the bottom of every other conference. So it could be very detrimental to the SEC to have these more difficult games when other conferences are not getting that.
True.
So, it could be a situation where it could be harmful to us, but at the same time, there may be more of an emphasis on strength of schedule that could boost us that way as well.
We'll just have to see. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
4 years, and then if it's a god-awful thing, they'll do away with it and figure out something else.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, though, either way. I think right now it'll be a good thing. If it's done well and done right and regulated right within the conference.
Yeah,
but,
I think so. Some more stories from around the SEC. We got Lane Kiffin beating his daughter's boyfriend.
Take the over.
Whit Weeks loses to Lane Kiffin in this game. I'm sure it's all good between the two of those guys, but it is funny to imagine that he just absolutely hates the dude and just does not approve.
Cleaning the shotgun.
Cleaning the shotgun right there on the field, doing it in the best way possible, just beating him on the field.
I loved it.
That was a fun game to watch.
It's very entertaining.
Ole Miss got it done against them. Brian Kelly, I just don't think he's cut out for the big game.
No.
similar to Penn State, just not cut out for it. He wasn't really cut out for it at Notre Dame either.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we had that 2012 championship against him where we beat them 42-14 after everybody thought coming into that game that they were just going to be a monster and it was going to be a real tough game, and Bama just come out and take care of business. Last year against us, obviously 42-6 or 42-13 with a garbage time touchdown. He's just not cut out for big games, I don't think. For whatever reason, he just can't get it done when the stakes get super high. That's not to say he won't in future games. That's not to say he can't come out and beat us later this season. But, historically, he has not been cut out for the big games. So,
I'll say this just to go back to Kiffin. For a little bit, I felt that way about Kiffin because in the big games, it's like he plays a really good game the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that he just can't capitalize on it. In the end, he loses in the end of some of the bigger games.
Yeah.
But I think he's finally coming out of that this year.
I think he is. I think he came out of it last year. Remember, he beat Georgia last year. Obviously at Ole Miss, but I think last year he's really started to come out of it. Now, there are some games where he's had a similar problem that DeBoer has had, where he'll win these big old games that are super meaningful and everything, and then he'll come out and lose to a team he shouldn't be losing to, like Kentucky last year, when he lost that game at home, and that pretty much killed their season right there on the spot, just losing that game to Kentucky. They would definitely have been a playoff team if they didn't lose that game to Kentucky, but they ended up being eliminated by that game. So that's really Lane's kind of barrier there as a coach, whereas Brian Kelly's is winning the bigger games. He's had a lot of years where he probably realistically could have competed for a championship if he could win these big games, and he just, like last year, right? That game against us was for a playoff spot, basically. Assuming that both teams didn't lose to a different team that they were not expected to lose to, like Oklahoma, for example. That really was for a playoff spot at the time that game occurred. Everybody believed that it was going to be a game battling for a playoff spot, and he just couldn't get it done when he needed to at home. And, so that's really his barrier as a coach. Lane Kiffin's is winning those smaller games. Kalen DeBoer's is winning those smaller games. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get that stuff done this year as opposed to previous years.
Do you think that Ole Miss deserves their AP spot?
Where are they at this?
4 or 5.
That's a little high, I think. LSU was ranked 4 before they lost that game, so it makes a little bit of sense. I don't necessarily think that Ole Miss is a top 4 football team.
Not yet. I think this is more of a detriment to them, because if they start struggling at number 4, then they're going to go down and they might not be able to come back up. They were at what, 18?
Yeah.
Or something like that last.
Look, that's kind of what I was saying about the AP. Is like, it seems like this year they're a lot more. It's like they rank people, but they don't really think about what the ranking actually means.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a situation where it's like,
very erratic.
Your rankings don't make any sense. Are you really trying to tell me that Ole Miss is a top 4 football team in the country because they beat LSU, because they beat Kentucky? However badly they beat Kentucky.
LSU hasn't really had that great of a season.
They haven't. They're undefeated, but they beat Florida at home by 10 points, and Florida threw them 5 picks.
Yeah.
If you're getting 5 picks and you're not turning the ball, now I don't know if they turn the ball over themselves a bunch, but if you're getting 5 picks from a team, you should probably be beating them by more than 10 points.
I'd agree.
And if you're not, then you're probably struggling in other parts of the game.
Yeah.
So, I don't feel like LSU has been super intimidating. I don't feel like they deserved their top 4 spot.
No.
And I don't feel like Ole Miss deserves it right now. Now, they may later in the season, but right now I just don't think it's warranted. And like I said, the rankings have just not made sense so far this year. Usually there seems to be a little bit more logic to it. This year it's just kind of all over the place and doesn't really make sense. It kind of feels like this year it's more based on vibes rather than anything.
Which just
it's just not the way it's supposed to work.
Not the A people.
At least not if you're going to make rankings that are serious rankings and not kind of just a
bull crap
throwaway thing. which I guess, you could argue that is what the AP really is at this point anyway,
Yeah, well.
whether they treat it seriously or not. But,
Right.
I still think they should treat it seriously, and it doesn't feel like they're really doing that this year.
Well, not to end on that note, but I think we've kind of hit all the points that we needed to hit this season. Looking forward to Vanderbilt. It's going to be a tough game, I think. We might do a pregame view, we might not. We haven't decided yet, but we'll let you know.
Depends on timing of everything, schedule timing and all that. But
basketball season's starting. I got to start coaching and stuff like that, practices. It's going to be fun.
Got to shout out before we go that little brother lost again this weekend. Good to see that.
Oh, we forgot.
Yeah, we did forget that one. Texas A&M got the win against little brother. That was good to see. Always good to see that. But
better next time, Hugh.
I mean, heck, we had Tennessee almost lose. We had LSU lose. We had Auburn lose. It was good weekend for the Tide this week. So
I'd agree.
that's a better way to end off things, I think.
Than the AP poll.
Good weekend for the Tide.
Good weekend for the Tide. Yes, roll Tide.
Yep.
All right, we will see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.